When my sister and I came of age, our parents gave us a life-altering choice. One of us would inherit the family business, and the other would marry into the prestigious Sterling family of New York. My sister, Wanda, was blinded by greed. She chose the company without a second thought, but she was lazy and only cared about partying. She spent her days traveling and neglected the business entirely. In just 1 year, she blew through the entire family fortune and ended up with nothing. Meanwhile, I married into the Sterling family. I gave them 2 sons and secured my position as the most powerful socialite in the city. Wanda went insane with jealousy. During a family reunion, she snapped and stabbed me to death in a fit of rage. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day we had to choose our fates. Wanda spoke up before I could even open my mouth. I want to marry into the Sterling family. Let my sister have the family business. I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. My foolish sister had no idea that the Sterling household was a literal living hell. I fell in love with Silas Sterling at first sight. I have to be with him. Chloe is much smarter than me anyway. I'm sure she can manage the company perfectly. Wanda's face was flushed with desperation. She saw our parents leaning toward letting me marry Silas and panicked. She wanted to marry Silas right this second just to secure her spot as a billionaire's wife. A few days ago, she was bragging about being a modern-day girl boss. Today, she acted like a completely different person. Our parents were stunned. They couldn't understand why she had suddenly changed her mind so drastically. I sat quietly on the sofa, looking over the company's financial reports. I was cold and calculating on the inside. In this new life, Wanda still couldn't control her impulsive nature. My mother didn't say much, but my father had some reservations. Wanda, honey, it's always better to rely on yourself than a man. He might like you now, but what if he changes his mind later? I've heard Silas's reputation isn't exactly great. Think about this carefully. I don't want to see you suffer. Betraying your own future for a man is the stupidest thing a woman can do. My father had seen too many men abandon their wives in the business world. He didn't want us to end up like those women who built a life with a man only to be left with nothing. But Wanda was obsessed. She had seen how luxurious my life was in the previous timeline. I had private chauffeurs and a bank balance with 9 zeros. My 2 adorable sons were the envy of everyone. She firmly believed that marrying Silas was the golden ticket. She thought it was much better than going bankrupt. She ignored our father's advice and picked at her ear in annoyance. Oh, Dad, those women were just incompetent. Your daughter is beautiful and charming. Silas will cherish me. Why would he ever leave me? Besides, you've met him. He's a total gentleman. Those rumors are just lies. Her eyes were sparkling with greed. She truly believed she had won. To her, this was a path paved with roses. She wasn't built to be a businesswoman traveling and working late nights. Being a trophy wife who listened to music and attended parties suited her much better. I kept my head down so they wouldn't see the smirk on my face. Silas Sterling acted like a gentleman in public, but only I knew he was a complete psychopath. He was an illegitimate son who fought his way to the top. You don't do that without getting your hands dirty. In my past life, he forced me to socialize and build connections for him. He didn't care when I drank until my stomach bled. If anything annoyed him, he would hit me. I had to wear long sleeves in the middle of summer to hide the bruises. The Sterling family was a shark tank. Every day was a battle for survival. How could that be better than inheriting a stable family business? Seeing that her mind was made up, our parents gave up. They sighed and retreated to their room. Before leaving, Wanda gave me a smug, arrogant look. Chloe, when the company goes bust, give me a call. I might let you be my personal assistant. I smiled thinly at her. We'll see who ends up begging whom. I almost felt jealous. She was so excited to be beaten by her dear husband and bullied by her in-laws. Unlike her, I would be stuck in a multi-million-dollar office, crying into my silk handkerchiefs. Oh, and maybe I'd hire a few hot male models to cheer me up. Wanda and Silas's wedding was a massive affair held at a famous historic hotel. The guest list was a who's who of the city's elite. My sister was wearing a custom-made designer gown. She looked incredibly smug as she moved through the crowd. She pulled Silas over to me to brag, holding her champagne glass high. Chloe, this is your first time meeting your brother-in-law, right? If your business ever fails, maybe he can throw you a bone. What's the point of a woman working so hard? Finding a powerful man is what matters. Too bad you'll never have this kind of luck. She was practically glowing with the thrill of finally stepping on me. Silas, on the other hand, gave me a polite nod. He frowned slightly at Wanda's blatant arrogance. From my years of living with him, I knew he was already annoyed with her. Wanda was making it very obvious how shallow she was. Once the honeymoon phase was over, her life would turn into a nightmare. When I didn't respond, she assumed I was jealous. She threw a few more insults my way before dragging Silas off to find more people to impress. I didn't care about her petty drama. I had just taken over the company and needed to network. All the major business players were in one room. I wasn't going to waste the opportunity. In the last life, Wanda was too arrogant to network. She thought she was a queen who didn't need anyone's help. She offended so many people and eventually got blacklisted by the powerful Pierce family. I wasn't going to make that mistake. I handed out my business cards with humility and grace. I managed to leave a great impression on several big names. Just as I was catching my breath, a commotion broke out in the center of the hall. You did that on purpose. Do you think I'm blind? You're trying to ruin my big day. Do you have any idea who my husband is? Wanda was screaming at a young girl, her face contorted with rage. The girl looked terrified. She was clearly overwhelmed. I didn't. I was just looking for my brother. I bumped into you by accident. I already apologized. Everyone was staring. The poor girl was turning bright red and looked like she was about to burst into tears. It was a tiny incident that should have been ignored, but Wanda thought this was the perfect time to show off her new power. She grabbed the girl's arm. Apology not accepted. This dress was flown in from Paris. You got dirt on it. A brat like you couldn't afford this in a lifetime. I don't recognize you. Are you a maid who snuck in here? The elite social circle is small. Most people know each other. Wanda assumed this girl was a nobody she could bully. I couldn't stand it anymore. I stepped forward. Wanda, it's your wedding day. Calm down. She didn't mean it. Just let it go. Wanda glared at me, humiliated that I called her out in public. How do you know she didn't mean it? Maybe she's just jealous I married well. I've seen plenty of gold diggers like her. Are you taking her side? Did you hire her to ruin my wedding? I was shocked by her logic. My face darkened. Before I could say anything, a cold, deep voice cut through the room. The Sterlings certainly picked a charming bride. I turned toward the voice. A tall man with an intimidating aura was standing in a shadowed corner. His face was incredibly handsome, but his expression was like a thundercloud. The entire room went silent. A few seconds later, someone whispered in shock, "Mr. Pierce." The name hit the crowd like a bomb. It was Preston Pierce, the head of the Pierce conglomerate. He was the kind of man who could bankrupt a company with a single phone call. Most of us would never even get a chance to see him in person. Everyone looked confused. Why was he here? Big brother, please tell this lady I didn't mean it. The little girl ran into his arms, sobbing. She looked at him like he was her savior. Mr. Pierce, this is all a misunderstanding, a total mistake. Silas's father, a seasoned businessman, rushed over with a fake smile to shake his hand. Preston ignored the hand and stared at Wanda with lethal eyes. Since there are so many witnesses, we should give Mrs. Sterling a fair resolution. Let's just check the security footage. Wanda's entire body went stiff at the mention of cameras. She looked at Silas frantically, pleading for help. Honey, we don't need to check the cameras. I actually bumped into Miss Pierce. It was my mistake. I apologize. But it was too late. Preston didn't care about her apology. He gestured, and the security footage began playing on the giant ballroom screens. The video showed Silas flirting with other women earlier in the night. Wanda had been seething with rage, but was too afraid to confront him. Instead, she had targeted the young girl who was standing alone and looked vulnerable. The footage clearly showed Wanda deliberately walking into her. Wanda's face turned bright red as her lie was exposed to everyone. She kept signaling Silas to save her, but Silas was struggling to maintain his own position in the family. This embarrassment made him want to strangle her, not help her. Preston spoke up again, his voice smooth but dangerous. Since the Sterling family has such a low opinion of my sister, I think it's best if we cancel our current contracts with you. With those few words, the Sterling family's hard work to partner with the Pierces was destroyed. Silas's grandfather looked like he was about to have a heart attack right then and there. The hall descended into chaos. The Sterlings knew that offending Preston Pierce meant ruin. They tried to beg, but Preston didn't give them a second look. He started to lead his sister out. As he passed me, he stopped. Is your name Chloe Jensen? I was startled. You know who I am? He gave me the first hint of a smile I had seen all night. A name as elegant as its owner. Thank you for speaking up for my sister today. His sister Piper was so grateful she insisted on getting my number. This was a huge win for me. As she left, she kept waving. Thanks, Chloe. Let's hang out soon. Preston then swept her away before she could say another word. In the hall, Silas was dragging a crying Wanda away. The guests were already gossiping like crazy. By tomorrow morning, this story would be everywhere. Wanda's life was about to get much harder, but she brought it on herself.
The morning after the wedding, every front page carried the same headline. Sterling bride humiliates Pierce heiress at wedding. The videos had already spread across every social platform. No matter how desperately the Sterlings tried to delete them, new uploads appeared every minute. Wanda locked herself in her bedroom and screamed. It was one mistake. Why is everyone attacking me? Unfortunately for her, the Sterling family didn't see it as one mistake. To them, she had cost them billions. That evening, she was summoned to the main manor. The Sterling family sat around the long dining table like judges. Silas's grandfather slammed his cane onto the floor. Kneel. Wanda froze. Grandpa? I said kneel. She instinctively looked toward Silas. Honey. Silas didn't even glance at her. His face was expressionless. Kneel. Her legs gave out. The servants watched silently as the glamorous bride from yesterday knelt on the marble floor in her expensive wedding gown. Grandfather's voice was icy. Our cooperation with the Pierce family took 3 years to negotiate. You destroyed it in 30 seconds. Wanda burst into tears. I already apologized. Apologized? The old man laughed coldly. If apologies solved everything, companies wouldn't go bankrupt. He turned toward Silas. Your wife caused this. You deal with it. Then everyone stood and left. Not a single person helped her up. The ride home was silent. The moment they entered the mansion. Smack. Silas slapped her so hard she crashed into the wall. She stared at him in disbelief. You hit me? Silas slowly loosened his tie. The gentleman from the wedding was gone. His eyes were terrifyingly cold. Do you know how much money you cost me? I didn't mean. Another slap. You weren't hired to think. You were hired to smile. She covered her burning face. You said you loved me. Silas chuckled. Loved? He grabbed her chin hard enough to leave bruises. I married you because your family still had value. Now thanks to you, that value is dropping every hour. He shoved her onto the floor before walking upstairs without another word. The servants didn't even bother helping her. They simply stepped around her like she was furniture. Only then did Wanda realize. Her nightmare had officially begun. Meanwhile, I was having lunch with Piper Pierce. She enthusiastically introduced me to nearly everyone in her circle. This is Chloe. The one who protected me. Every introduction opened another door. Investors. Executives. Founders. Within a month, our company signed 3 major partnerships. Revenue increased by almost 40%. Even my father admitted over dinner. I worried you'd be overwhelmed. I underestimated you. I smiled. I've learned a lot. From dying once. Across town. Wanda's life became more miserable every day. The Sterling family made her wake up before dawn to prepare breakfast for the entire household. If one dish tasted wrong, she was scolded. If she attended parties without permission, she was scolded. If Silas came home unhappy, she was the punching bag. Literally. The luxurious mansion she had dreamed about had become a prison. She secretly called our mother crying. Mom. Please take me home. Before our mother could answer, someone snatched away the phone. Silas's calm voice came through the speaker. Mrs. Jensen. Your daughter is simply homesick. I'll educate her properly. The call disconnected. Mother burst into tears. Father silently clenched his fists. He finally understood why I had never envied the Sterling family. Months later, Wanda secretly came to my office. She had lost weight. Her makeup barely covered the fading bruises on her neck. She looked nothing like the radiant bride from before. The moment she saw my spacious office and the employees respectfully greeting me, jealousy flashed across her face. Then desperation replaced it. Chloe. I was wrong. Please. Help me. I calmly signed another contract before looking up. Help you how? Convince Preston Pierce to forgive the Sterlings. If the contracts come back, Silas will treat me better. I almost laughed. So you're asking me to save the people who abused you? They're still my family now. She whispered weakly. I just want peace. I leaned back. Wanda. Do you remember what you told me before your wedding? Her expression stiffened. I smiled. You said if my company failed, you'd let me become your assistant. So, I'll return the favor. When the Sterling family collapses, I'll consider hiring you. As a receptionist. Her face twisted. You've been waiting for this. I knew it. You're enjoying my suffering. I nodded honestly. Yes. You murdered me. So this is the least you deserve. Her blood drained from her face. She stared at me as if she'd seen a ghost. You remember? I remember everything. Including the knife. Including the pain. Including dying while she watched. For the first time since our rebirth. Real fear filled her eyes. She stumbled backward before running out of my office in panic. I never saw her again. Not willingly. 6 months later, the Sterling Group finally collapsed. Banks demanded repayment. Shareholders fled. Old enemies attacked from every direction. The family that once stood at the top of New York crumbled almost overnight. Silas tried using Wanda's remaining connections. She had none. His patience finally snapped. He divorced her immediately, leaving her with nothing. Not the mansion. Not the jewelry. Not even the designer clothes she loved so much. Everything belonged to the Sterling family. She walked away carrying one small suitcase. Exactly as poor as she had feared becoming. Only now. No one pitied her. As for me, I acquired several Sterling subsidiaries at bankruptcy prices. The company my parents entrusted to me became one of the largest corporations in New York. At the signing ceremony, Preston Pierce raised his glass. Congratulations, President Jensen. I smiled and clinked my glass against his. Thank you. Across the street, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I noticed a familiar figure sweeping the sidewalk. Wanda. She looked up just long enough to see the celebration inside. For a brief second, our eyes met. Then she lowered her head and continued sweeping. In my previous life, she had stolen my future because she envied my success. In this life, I never sought revenge. I simply stepped aside. And let her choose her own fate. Just as I thought the story was finally over, my secretary rushed into my office without knocking. President Jensen. We found something in the Sterling bankruptcy records. She placed a thick folder on my desk. Someone transferred nearly $2 billion out of the Sterling Group before it collapsed. I frowned. Silas? She slowly shook her head. No. The account belongs to Wanda. I froze. Impossible. Wanda couldn't even balance her own bank account in our previous life. How could she steal billions from the Sterlings? That night, I quietly followed the money trail. Every transfer had been made months before the bankruptcy. Each one was hidden through shell companies across different countries. It was meticulous. Professional. Far beyond Wanda's abilities. Then I found the final document. The account had one authorized user. Preston Pierce. I stared at the screen. What? Before I could process it, my office light suddenly went out. A slow clap echoed through the darkness. Impressive. Preston stepped into the moonlight as if he'd been expecting this moment. I wondered how long it would take you. I stood. So it was you. He smiled. I merely borrowed the Sterling fortune before their creditors could. You used Wanda. I gave her instructions. She thought she was secretly stealing money to escape Silas. In reality, she was signing everything over to me. I let out a quiet laugh. So even Wanda got scammed. She never had a chance. Preston shrugged. Greed makes people easy to manipulate. He slid another file across my desk. But that's not why I'm here. I opened it. My hands began to tremble. It wasn't about the Sterling family. It was about me. The first page was my death certificate. The date matched my previous life exactly. Beneath it was another. Wanda Jensen. Same date. Same time. I looked up sharply. What is this? Preston's smile disappeared. You think only you came back? A chill crawled down my spine. He continued quietly. The day Wanda stabbed you. Someone killed her. My heart skipped. What? Silas. He walked in, saw your body. And shot Wanda before calling his cleaners. You both died that night. I could barely breathe. So. Wanda. She never knew. Preston nodded. And neither did you. The room fell silent. Then he said the one thing I never expected. I remember it too. I stared at him. You. He chuckled. Not just me. He looked out the window toward the glittering skyline. There are 7 of us. 7 people who woke up on the same day with memories of another life. The Pierces. The Sterlings. The mayor. Your father. My sister. You. And me. I felt the world tilt beneath my feet. All this time. I thought fate had given me one second chance. Instead. The entire game had restarted. Preston extended his hand. So, Chloe. Would you like to know? Who reset the world? Before I could answer. Every light in the city suddenly went dark. For exactly 1 second. When they came back on. Preston was gone. Only one envelope remained on my desk. Inside was a single photograph. 7 people stood together in it. 6 faces were familiar. The 7th had been burned away. On the back, written in neat handwriting, were 8 chilling words. The next timeline begins when the 7th remembers.